Today we felt we got our ball club much better. We were able to add a lot of very good talent. It was important for us to keep all these picks on Friday. We did try to make a few trades, trying to get up into the second round, but felt that the asking price was too much. And as it lowered down through the second and saw the board still having a lot of very good players that we had coveted, we decided to stay patient. So as we got into the third round, we just kind of followed our board and picked the best available players. We had a lot of activity on teams trying to trade up at our slots, but felt as we sat there and talked as a group, if we did trade out and try to accumulate more picks on Saturday, that the value wasn't going to be there. And just looking at our board, I don't know how deep it's going to be after the fourth, fifth round tomorrow. So we decided that it's definitely better to get the quality players that we were able to get in the third round. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, Chad, followed by Dave.
Rick Kirk still, I think, has 2 years remaining on his contract. What made now the right time to go get a quarterback?
Well, we was following our board. We did a lot of work on Kellen through this pre-draft process. I know Andrew Janocko went down and worked him out. They spent a lot of time with him on the Zoom calls, and he was one of the top players on our board, and you've seen right in that area is where the top three quarterbacks went. So it gave us an opportunity to get a quarterback, a young quarterback, to come in here. We wanted to add competition and depth behind Kirk, and Kellen is going to come in here and compete with the other young guys that we have on the roster.
Rick, how much time do you think Kellen would need to be, ready to start in this league?
As you watched him through college, his freshman year, and how he started out, then how he kind of made some strides, and then this year I thought that he even took another step forward. Through the interview process, he did talk about how Coach Fisher there started letting him have a little more freedom at the line of scrimmage, and how that helped him grow as a quarterback. Then he was down at the Senior Bowl and played very well in the Senior Bowl and had a good week of practice. And then when Coach Janocko went down there and worked him out, had a really good workout. So you've seen, just like any other position, a young guy, we try to track that as they come out of their season, whether they're spiraling up or they're spiraling down. And we felt he was on the right trajectory, and it has a lot of upside to develop.
Rick, was it important to bring a quarterback in who maybe isn't like a carbon copy of Kirk, somebody who has differences in his skill set? Is that important when you talk about building competition in that room?
Yeah, no, when we're talking through with the coaches and we're going through all of our draft meetings, and, what traits are they looking for? And, one I know was the accuracy in the throwing, but I know with all our boot action and play action passes that a quarterback with some mobility that can move and make plays outside the pocket is something we wanted to look at too. So there's a lot of different things that go into that position, but we felt with Kellen's arm strength, how quick his release is, how well he played this year. I know, one of the first games I flipped on was the Florida game where he ended up winning a big game down at Texas A&M. Had a big game against North Carolina, I believe, in a bowl game where he played very well, and then watching him down at the Senior Bowl. So he has a little different skill set than Kirk. But I know, just talking with our offensive coaches, that we feel that the mobility part of things may add some value to him as a quarterback and to this system.
Chad, and then back to Courtney.
With a pick like Kellen, is that a situation where you feel like you need to call Kirk and kind of explain it to him, or is it just, hey, we pick somebody and there's more competition and it doesn't really need to
Kirk's
be
our starting, Kirk's our starting quarterback. There's no competition there. It's just taking another player. It's like, regardless of position, if we take a player in the third round or first round, I'm not calling a player and say, hey, we may take this guy here. Our job is to try to get as many good players in here and let them all come in and compete.
Rick, with some of Chaz, is he? Do you imagine him as starting as a weak side linebacker? Is he kind of what you could potentially? I guess somebody you could potentially use to replace what Eric Wilson brought to this
Eric
team?
Wilson, yeah. We didn't replace Eric Kendricks. He's still a very good player for us. We signed Nick Vigil this offseason, who's also an athletic linebacker. We wanted to create some depth and competition there. We had a lot of young guys that we drafted last year. I know when you're talking to Adam Zimmer about the what we're looking for in a linebacker, they have to be able to cross-train at multiple positions. The one thing that we always emphasize is speed and athleticism now at the linebacker positions, not only because of how this league has evolved into a passing league and a lot of movement and things like that, but also the speed and athleticism will show up and help improve our special teams. But he's the modern NFL type linebacker. It was amazing when you sat there down and broke him down on tape, coming from quarterback and seeing him only play 2 years at linebacker. We felt that he had such natural instincts for the position. He can cover and he can run and he can hit. And there's things that he has to work on, just like all these rookies are going to be, but he has all the physical traits we felt that are going to fit our system and be a good NFL linebacker.
All right, Ben, and then Chris.
Rick, Jamal Stevenson talked about how there was kind of a directive from Zim to get bigger on the offensive line. How hard of a combination is that to find when you're also trying to get guys that can get out and move in the zone scheme?
Yeah, no, we wanted to try to add a little size up front. So the two offensive linemen, Wyatt and Darasol, who we added, not only give us more size up front, and they're both going to have to come in and compete, but we felt that they fit the athletic mold we're looking for. So to get some size around Bradbury, I think, is going to be a benefit to him. And now you got some guys, wherever they line up, how our top 5 shake out, that we're going to have a lot of size, but all these guys do have some athleticism to go with that size as well.
Hey, Rick, I've got two questions. The first one, I know you said that Kirk's your quarterback, there's no competition, but have you talked to Kirk since Mond was drafted, or did you talk to him?
Chris, I already addressed that. I already addressed that.
And then also my next question is on Wyatt Davis. Where can you see that he can play, potentially on the line? I know he was a right guard at Ohio State.
Right. We talked to our coaches. Does it matter where they line up, on the left side or the right side? Coaches don't think that's a big issue where they line up. They can line up on either side. He's going to be a guy that's going to come in here and he's going to have to compete. We like some of the guys. Mason Cole, like I talked about last night, who we traded a 6th-round pick for earlier in this process. We signed Dakota Dozer back, so we're going to have a lot of competition up front, but that's what we needed to do. We needed to get better on the offensive line up front. I think we've got some very talented young guys that are going to come in, and you're going to see a very competitive group when we get down to our 53, and very competitive on who will end up being our starting 5, but that's all going to be determined as we go through OTAs, mini camps, and once we get into training camp.
Rick, last two I have in the chat are Courtney and Eric.
Rick, what did you like about Patrick Jones? Is that somebody who kind of like a DJ Wanham? Do you anticipate that, similar build, is there any similarities there that you saw in wanting to take this guy where you did in the third?
Yeah, he fit our athletic profile. The 40 time that we had on him, he pulled about 3/4 of the way down and pulled up, so he kind of jogged through the last part of that 40. But when you see his length, his lean, long frame coming off the edge, we know as a scouting staff what Coach Patterson and Coach Zimmer look for in those type of defensive ends, similar to when we took DJ Wanham, similar to when we took Donnell Hunter. Those long athletic guys that can come in, and Dre does a great job developing those type of athletes, even though they may be raw when they first come in. But as they continue to mature at the position, as long as they have the physical traits we're looking for, we feel that they're all going to have a chance.
Hey, Rick, you mentioned earlier that the board may not be as deep after the fourth or fifth round tomorrow. Is that just because there's not as many draftable players this year, and how will that affect, your penchant for trading back into the sixth and seventh rounds?
I would say two things. There's not as many players available in this draft, and if you saw, in the draft, there was a ton of compensatory third-round picks. So a lot of guys went earlier in this draft, and I believe tomorrow, and you guys should all be happy, there's no compensatory picks in the seventh round. So that'll be a quick 4-minute pick for 32. So that should go fast. So a combination of that and a lot of players that opted back in, I just didn't see it as deep right now as it was in previous years. And that's why I think it's very important that we talked about earlier today and last night to have all these picks right in the middle of where we're at right now with the 4 and the 3 tomorrow.
Last one in the chat is Courtney.
Do you feel like you're in a position tomorrow to stay where you're at? I mean, knowing that you didn't have to use any of those, day 3 picks to move up into the second round, or do you feel like you want to trade back and get more bites at the apple?
It'll depend what the board looks like. So, we come in and we'll meet in the morning. We'll look at what's remaining on the board, where the depth is. I think we're going to really hone in on best available player tomorrow. I know there's still some areas that we want to address, and just initially looking at it tonight before I came in, I think there's still a lot of depth. But, it may be where we move up as well, depending on how the board's falling. But I still see, as of tonight, that we're going to get 3, if we don't move like we didn't move today, that we can get 3 very good football players that can come in and compete for our football team.